Well, hey there. I'm Robert Spetta.
Robert, what's up? I'm Lewis. Robert, what is the coldest you've ever been in your life?
Oh goodness, that's a good question. Minus 30 to 40 wind chill.
Okay. Where was that?
A few spots. I've been in that in upstate New York. Also, like on top of a mountain in Japan in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
Got down that cold. How about you?
So negative 27 on the top of a mountain in Lake Placid.
Ah,
But the winds were blowing about 30. So the wind chill was just unbearable, right? But the only exposed part of my body was like the part that didn't have goggles. So it was just like here. But I did have a beard like you're sporting as well at that point too. It was just yeah.
did the beard get all crusted over
Yes.
like with ice and all that?
Everything quickly froze up.
Nice.
The theme, of course, of this discussion, how cold it's going to get. And I love being joined here with Robert because Robert truly is my cold air expert. The guy knows it. You've seen it. Buffalo with the lake effect, Japan with all the different types of weather. We're on the verge for the last, 2 weeks or so. There have been signals of a polar vortex,
Yes.
that Arctic air just being kind of the gates opening a bit, kind of pouring into the deep south. And what graphic we're seeing right there from the Climate Prediction Center, kind of illustrating the cold temperature anomaly that we could see as we get out about a week to 10 days from right now, Robert.
And I think one of the big things right now is that this is still extended forecast. Yeah. I know it started a few days ago. We're talking about 360 hours out. People started saying there was a chance of snow across the southeast. And we're talking about, even as we're recording this, we're not quite to that time frame even on the 7-day, are we? Maybe next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you see those lows starting to get down into the lower 30s, but it is still a long range forecast. And I kind of want to point this out because, we see a lot of social media posts out there here, Lou, saying, we're going to have some snow mid-January, and people are jumping to it.
Yep.
And this is something back in my early days before it was even on TV, I would do occasionally. And, just say, hey, this is for certain, try to get out ahead of everybody, get the clicks, right? Let's go.
Sure.
And after a while, you get burnt by that, just trying to get those clicks and stuff. And I think it comes with experience. You learn how to just take a deep breath and tell the audience as well, we're going to watch this. Because since those initial runs have come out, right, some of the model runs have been kind of backing off here, particularly the ECMWF, I think CMC as well. The GFS still showing a little bit of snow.
Yeah, and that's what you're seeing there on the screen. And so a couple of things to note. And where I think it would come from, Robert, if I can make an assumption about your personality, it came from the best place possible. When you're sharing those worst case scenario graphics, sometimes you see computer model runs 14 days out. I mean, this really applies to us, less so in winter weather, but more so in hurricane season. We note like some online influencers will share the worst case of the model. And I think there is a benevolence to that, which is, we just want people to be aware. Just have something on the front of mind. And as we look at this model in particular, the GFS that we're showing with a snow line south of Atlanta towards, even Macon and Augusta, Georgia, across the Midlands of South Carolina, it's pretty aggressive. And even for them, this would be, if unusual is the right term, but they don't get snow.
Oh, yeah.
All the time either,
Atlanta got an inch of snow. It's going to be a bad day.
Yes. Yes, 100%. But this is still a more aggressive model. And this in particular model, if you were looking at it, what some folks were sharing 5, 6, 7 days ago was that pink and purple line as far south as even Waycross. Some were showing snowy conditions as far as Tampa. And when you get, and it's something, Robert, you talk about a good bit, when you get out, say, beyond the 10-day scope in computer modeling, the changes that can happen beyond 7 days, it's really tough.
I mean, a couple days ago, I was telling you, I saw it, the Bahamas, where it had a little bit of snow. And it was almost like this sea effect with this cold air. And you can kind of see it here. You got those northerly winds coming over the warmer waters of the Gulf. And that's going to pick up moisture offshore. But it was actually picking up on snow in that long-range forecast. Our point is, snow, it's not off the table, but not likely. But I think this part of the story...
Yeah.
Because, and I think you mentioned it a couple days ago here, Lou, is that a lot of things need to come together for snow. You need the moisture, you need the cold, you need the instability, you need a lot. But the cold is probably going to be there.
Sure.
So at the very least, I mean, we're going to still talk about what I call Florida snow, right? The frost, or when people leave their sprinklers on a little bit too long. This is showing the 9th, though. This is the ECMWF, which doesn't show snow really across the southeast, but you got some pretty decent cold air kind of spilling in. That's for the 9th. Then the 10th into the 20s in some areas, near 30 into Jacksonville. I mean, I think this is enough for a good freeze across a good portion of the first coast, right?
Yep, and we're talking, this would be a week from today. So we're talking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, next weekend, right? Even this weekend, we're going to have cold temperatures. We're talking about a freeze possible Sunday morning. That's been in our forecast for a while. And so I've had some green thumb emails, folks asking, because we got a lot of folks who own the sensitive plants around here and have them out in the yard, and it's going to be time to start considering, especially overnights, just being prepared for the plants, your potted plants, the idea of if you are able to move them, bring them in to covered areas, or the old blanket trick outside, or a tarp is a good
I've never been able to successfully do the blanket trick. You have to do it right. You have to cover all the edges too, right?
Yeah.
Because
give yourself a good 1.5 from the root, what would be the root area too.
I think where I fall into problems, I just kind of throw it on top. Like, that's not going to do it. You got to cover up the whole thing, and like you said, cover around the roots and everything.
So protect the plants. I know we have some precious plants out there. Here's something. So this morning on Good Morning Jacksonville, I mentioned it's going to be cold, right? And there is a legit thing is Florida cold. I mean, I've been in Florida 14 years now. I've been in the South my whole life. And things were all relative, but I got an email. It was funny. A woman from South Georgia who says she's from Wisconsin and said she was embarrassed for me that I had called.
Yes.
I
saw that.
It was funny, and I appreciated the email. And I was like, it's good advice. Everything is relative, of course. But that maybe I'm in my years of Florida, my blood is thinning or whatever, and these temperatures. But legitimately, their numbers matter, and whether I think it's cold on my skin or you don't, when you get below that 32 or even 30 in the mid 30s, but at the very ground level you get to those 32 degrees, because you remember, you can have way cooler temperatures where we're getting, or where our sensors and thermometers are. You're talking what, 6 feet above ground, and you can get a temperature drop. So some people will ask the question, well, why does it say it's 36 degrees out, but there's frost that develops on my grass or on some of my plants? Well, you've got a temperature difference.
And also, I think it's a lot of perspective. So maybe up north you get down below the freezing, but the vegetation, the animals, just the world is designed to deal with that cold air. Now, I don't think it's just us here in Florida, but our world across the southeast is not designed for the cold. South Florida, if we get these temperatures, there are literal lizards falling out of the trees.
Yes, iguana warnings.
And we joke about iguana, but it does happen.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And let's say you get a cold air in Wisconsin, you get some snow. The birds don't just start falling from the sky. The world is designed a little bit. It would be bad if that did happen. Goodness gracious. But my point is, and we talk about the plants because there are a lot of vegetation here across the first coast that is not designed to deal with those freezing temperatures. So, yeah, we say it's going to get cold. And yes, like you said before, I grew up in some very cold weather. We've both been on mountains. We know what true cold air is like. But for the first coast, getting down to the 30s and potentially even the 20s, that is going to be that is not good for us. I would say, I think our record low in Jacksonville overall is in the lower teens.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hold myself to it. That's why I'm being a little bit broad on it. Yeah. But it's not like minus 20.
Right.
that would be a bad day.
So I think in summary, I think people are going to want to know some specifics. So as far as when you can expect, if there is a potential for a hard freeze, in the distance, if there, what days in particular, Lewis and Robert, do we need to be prepared? I'd say, as we go into just even this weekend, if you are west of I-95, if you're down the I-10 corridor, west of 295 in southeast Georgia, west of 95 towards Waycross, Blackshear, maybe go ahead and you might want to consider protecting some of the sensitive plants. And then for sure, as we get towards the end of next week and into the weekend, we'll be extra alert to that as well. I love that graphic, though, the Plinko graphic, which illustrates the point of how varied computer models can be the further out you go.
Yeah, I like this graphic because it does kind of illustrate to the layman. It was not really a expert in computer modeling science. Basically, remember that chaos theory. We have an initial point right here, and the model is going to look at that initial point, and all models are computer models. They're not forecasters. They're basically an algorithm, which the entire atmosphere can be broke down with a few equations. So they're taking these initializing factors and using those equations, and there's subtle changes with each model run based on initializing factors or within the equation itself saying, if this happens, we'll go up 2 degrees this way versus 1 degree. The point is, that's why sometimes we talk about some of these models show some decent snow, some don't show it, and you might be curious why they don't line up. That's why you need meteorologists like me and Lou to analyze this and say, okay, this one's kind of out the lunch, this one's not. And as you said, I think in the next few days we're going to get a lot more clear idea about, if we have that potential for snowfall, because that time frame is going to get a little bit less and less. But going back to, I think that cold air, not only this weekend, but heading into next week as well, next weekend. So we're going to have several bouts of cold air kind of reinforcing it. Honestly, I think snow on the first coast is unlikely.
Right. Always.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
Right. So as I kind of alluded to with Lee the other day when we were talking about this, it is a game of Yahtzee. If you're familiar with the dice game Yahtzee, like to get snow in Florida in particular, you got to hit it's all sixes on the first roll. You know what I mean? That's kind of your probability. It's maybe not the exact statistics of it, but the cold air has to be in place for a long time. But remember now, we get the coldest nights anywhere really, but for us in Florida, the coldest nights are the clear nights, the dry nights. Right, so the timing of the radiational cooling, right, that usually happens just pre-dawn or right at dawn, merging with a source of moisture that would give us snow, right there is super unlikely. So you got to get those temperatures very, very low for a longer period of time, a couple of days even perhaps, before that moisture moves into a really thick, high cold air column, right? So all of those things. And then you've got to, and the depth of that cold air matters, right? So if you're getting cold air to 5,000 feet, it's just all going to melt and potentially become a sleet scenario or just a sloppy cold rain.
So I think going from here, Lou, what do you think people should prepare for at the very least? I mean, I would say cold, especially across parts of southeast Georgia. At least be ready for a good solid freeze.
Yeah.
If not this weekend, next weekend, right?
Sure. Well, we already had frost advisories this morning, and I think that's going to continue. And so I think if the biggest thing is if your property, your people, your pets, your plants, etc. I don't know if we're quite to the pipes level until we get maybe to next weekend. If we get those temperatures in the 20s for multiple hours in some areas, then we might be talking about that. But anything that might be sensitive to some frost, let's go and take care of that, over the next couple of mornings, especially as we get to Sunday morning where we already forecasting some freezes. And then we'll watch very carefully as we get through Wednesday of next week, for those cold, even colder temperatures.
All right. Well, I think we can lead it almost on that, can't we?
I think so, yep.
I was going to talk a little bit about wind chill, but I think the key thing is, if it starts to get windy and cold out there, put on a jacket, Freds. Let's be ready for it.
Absolutely.
We got some cold air in the
promise
forecast.
you, everyone, I'm not soft. I'm just softened. I'm just thinned out from living in Florida these years.
To be fair,
Sure.
when I worked in Rochester, the same people that are saying stuff like this, in November when you get like the first snow,
Right.
Everybody's out there when it gets down to 32. Everybody's wearing a jacket. Everybody's ready for this cold, and I promise you, in March, when you get that last snow and the temperature is just at 33, 34.
People are in shorts?
Everybody's in shorts
Yeah.
and a t-shirt.
Shorts,
because they're like,
flops, 100%.
and it's the same deal.
Spring
it's
is
like,
broken.
We
Yeah.
are used to it.
100%.
You know? So
100%.
it's just, we've been in the warm air in Florida for a little bit too long here. And it's when it gets even a little bit cold, we're getting those jackets ready. So
Yes.
be ready for the cold,
Be
friends.
ready. Don't pack away the sweaters at all. All right, Robert's going to be around with us at noon, so check him out. He'll have a lot more on this, and each and every day, the forecast gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and we'll have that. So you guys have a great day, everybody.
Night.